Most people probably watch this video, but they've already forgotten about it. So let's refresh your memory. All right, Colin. So everybody's seen the cool use cases. We saw an Expedia example, a Figma example, Booking.com, all these different apps that are built into it. How would you describe ChatGPT apps? What are they? And what is the ChatGPT App Store?
Yeah, so ChatGPT apps are basically a way for companies to bring in their own designs, their own kind of way users should interact with it directly into ChatGPT. So rather than, maybe giving a text summary of something or recommending something from a web search, you can have this kind of built-in experience where you can interact with an application directly in your conversation.
Why does this really matter? Because I guess it's kind of hard to discover. That's what I feel like when I gave the example of the iOS App Store, for instance. The discoverability was there. It was one of the few apps that people actually got pre-bundled with their new $1,000 phone. So they're highly likely to open it up at least once or twice. And then when they open it up, it's showcasing different apps. It feels like ChatGPT apps are kind of hidden. I haven't heard about them.
Yeah, so I would agree at the moment. And again, we're recording this in 2025, so we expect it to change sometime soon. They are kind of hidden. And so there's a couple of companies that partnered with the initial release, as you saw there. Some other ones coming soon, like Uber is on that list as well, planning to release an app sometime in the near future. But yeah, they are kind of hidden. And there are definitely plans to bring together a full app store experience. So very similar to what you have in like iOS or Android. You'd be able to browse apps, find ones that you like, and then download them and use them inside of ChatGPT. There's one other mode of discovery that maybe we'll get into a bit more later. But one thing that ChatGPT promises is that if you put in a request that relates to an app, they might actually decide to kind of surface that app to you. So for example, if I say, without installing the app, I'm looking for a hotel, I might get the Expedia app kind of surfaced inline, even though I didn't install it or ask for it to be in with.
Okay, that would be super cool. So they might be building some sort of tool calling system that automatically figures out, okay, here's a reliable app to help service this particular request. And I guess they've already done some of that, like, because I've actually seen nowadays when I do search for a hotel that they'll pull in some Expedia search results, although they don't always pull in from the app. It seems like they pull in from web search. So kind of how they're pulling in from web search, they'll start to pull in apps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, it gives companies a little bit more control, right? There's a very large kind of maybe panic around getting your content into ChatGPT, right? Because people know that it converts well. Actually, there was some news I saw today that it's like 26% increase in conversion when a user comes from an AI source because they have higher intent, right?
Yeah, I see that too in my own sites, that the LLM traffic is much smaller in volume to like SEO, but really high conversion rates.
Yeah, exactly. So companies want to be present, but kind of playing this game of whack-a-mole with like the ChatGPT web search is hard. And so now you have, from an enterprise perspective, a deterministic way to show up in the application, right? Like your app is going to show up, especially if the user has it installed, but even, if they're trying to do something and it's a relevant application, it can show up in their chat. And you'll be able to control what that experience is like. It'll be branded and you can even pop them back out. So a good example of this is Target. Target recently announced that they're building an app, and you can't finish like a checkout with them inside of ChatGPT. You can't actually purchase items, but you can build a cart. So you can say like, hey, help me find holiday items or Christmas, presents for my siblings. It'll build the cart for you, and then you click out, and it brings you into Target to complete the purchase. So I think that's another good example of like building this kind of deterministic catered experience that feels really great inside of ChatGPT, rather than relying on like web search to do the job.
Makes sense. So in that example, at least, I highly grok it, kind of like the Expedia example, as, okay, I'm offering some high ticket service. I might have been getting a lot of traffic from search in many cases. So I need to get into ChatGPT, access its 900 million weekly active users. So I understand that case. What's the case for other products, regular people like you and me? Like, what sort of ChatGPT apps have you been building?
Yeah, so very similar to the App Store, you're probably going to see like the eventual Ubers, right? Which didn't start at the very beginning. And then you'll see like the apps that are like the flashlight app, right? Like that, if you remember back to the iOS beginning, it was like, that was an app you could download. And so I think we'll follow like similar paradigms here. So for example, like I've been messing around and building some apps, and one you can build is like a spreadsheet. So ChatGPT can like use spreadsheets as well as you can kind of collaborate back and forth. It's kind of like what, you'd expect out of the AI experience in Google Sheets, but it doesn't quite work correctly in Google Sheets. You can build a little spreadsheet app inside of ChatGPT, or like a to-do list app that gets pinned to the top. So if you want to complete multiple tasks with ChatGPT, maybe you have like 3 things you want to do, it can check off those tasks for you, so you get like a visual indicator. So those are like the little utility type things that you could build. And then you could build like more fully featured experiences, right? So things like you saw inside the demo there with like apps that have maps, navigation, search, and like integrations with whatever you want on the back end. I guess that's the last thing I'll mention here is that like there's actually no strict limitations in terms of what the apps can or can't do. It's just that they're so early that most companies are releasing like very, very bare bones versions of them to get into the marketplace. But I think we'll see like a lot more complex apps than what exists today.
I love that you've been building these. You've even built a platform to build these. So you really understand the technical details. What do we need to know about how ChatGPT apps are made and built?
Yeah, so underlying ChatGPT apps is this protocol called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. This is invented by Anthropic. It's about a year old. Basically what allows AI agents, so things like ChatGPT and Claude, as well as like Gemini, Cursor, really like anywhere you would be talking to an AI.
If you're enjoying this episode, Colin literally teaches a course on this. The next cohort starts January 30th. It is on Maven. You can use my code to get a special discount off this course. I highly recommend Colin's content and courses. You all seem to love what he's doing, and I personally love reading it. I gained so many epiphanies just out of this one podcast recording. So think about what you could get if you were working with Colin extensively over a live cohort course. Check out his course, and now back on to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that short clip. You can check out the full episode here.